So now for the next segment, we're just going to have a short, quick demo and also a Q&A about the platform that we're building in EnviroCast, the benefits that it provides, and really the specific features concerning that. So I think let's just go into it whenever you're ready, Arnav.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. Right now, billions of people walk outside every single day without truly knowing what they're breathing. Air pollution is invisible, unpredictable, and often misunderstood. Traditional monitoring systems only tell us what pollution looks like after it's already happened, leaving communities, healthcare systems, and governments reacting instead of preparing. Our mission is simple but urgent: transforming environmental data into actionable intelligence that protects human health and empowers smarter decision making worldwide.
Now, air pollution is responsible for millions of premature deaths globally every year. In fact, in 2024, according to the Status of Global Air Report, there were 8.1 million deaths attributed to air pollution and air quality concerns. But truly, the challenge isn't just pollution itself, it's the uncertainty that comes with it. Most current forecastings are limited by the classical models that they are created with. They rely on those classical prediction methods and they struggle with complex multivariate environmental intelligence and interactions. They lack personalization, meaning the individuals don't receive relevant insights to them specifically, tailored to their conditions or location. And in addition to that, urban planners need predictive data to regulate different things like traffic and emissions on more of the planning side and the governmental side. For more of a health perspective, healthcare professionals need exposure risk modeling. Researchers need accurate intelligence in terms of environmental intelligence, and the everyday people in public need to know whether stepping outside and breathing the air is safe. So the world doesn't just need environmental data, the world needs environmental foresight. And that is where we created EnviroCast. EnviroCast is a quantum enhanced, self recalibrating environmental intelligence ecosystem designed to not only forecast air quality, but also assess health risks, provide real time activity and decision support, as well as a multitude of other features. EnviroCast combines classical artificial intelligence along with hybrid quantum computing models, as well with multi agent recalibration systems to produce highly accurate multi pollutant forecasts and also predictive environmental analytics.
Yeah, so within the EnviroCast ecosystem, to best actually tackle this challenge head on, we developed EnviroNex, an advanced simulation environment designed to actually explore environmental scenarios in real time. EnviroNex actually allows the users to visualize environmental trends, simulate pollution changes, observe how environmental conditions evolve over time, and actually understand for themselves what impacts these variables have on them as a person. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick and demo it. So Kaveen, you can just tell me if you see it real quick. Yeah, do you see the screen?
I think it's loading on my end.
Oh yeah. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, are you able to see the
There we
screen?
go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's EnviroNex. As you can see, we have our front end UI here. And as soon as we enter the platform, we're greeted with a one-to-one replica of our globe here. And we could type in a city, for example. So I'm going to type in our home city of Houston. And as soon as we type it in, you can see that it's going to take a second, but it loads into Houston, the United States of America. And it gives you like all the basic features. Like as you can see, we have the air quality count here, but it also gives you pollutants in the environment like PM 2.5 and O3, and it basically tells you how much of each of these elements are actually in the environment at this moment, and it also compares it to the WHO limits. And this is actually really important because it encompasses our short-term for air quality forecasting, which is very important for us right now. So before we dive into these two AI features, we can real quickly look over quantum analytics right here. So as you can see, our quantum backend is able to actually predict how much it's going to be over 24 hours, the air quality stream. and you can see it's going to go down in our area right here, and you can see the model confidence here as well. And we have some statistics about our accuracy gap and our hybrid model. Here you can see our advantage over actually other people's models, and you can see that our green line model is much better at predicting with a uncertainty percentage of nearly 1% higher than everyone else in the market. And we also have our health analysis features right here, which are actually one of the most important factors, I think, of our model as well, because they actually tell you exactly what the pollutants in the environment are going to do for you specifically, and for how it's going to impact your health. And you could see that the health risks over here are predicted for the next 24 hours, and you can see all the pollutants in the atmosphere right here, as well as a sustainability timeline and recommendations for what you should actually be doing at the time with regards to the air quality. So furthermore, you could see some natural disasters over here using the NASA EONet telemetry, which is actually a satellite system, and you can see some predictions later on too, which is part of our actual environmental prediction model as well, which predicts natural disasters to an extent. We have our 2033 climate forecast, which is one of the most accurate climate prediction forecasts in the entire world, because it can predict up to 7 years into the future. And you could see the projected AQI actually rising each year as we go up because of the amount of pollution that's going to happen in the upcoming years. And you can also see the trajectory comparison right here, which basically shows you what's going to happen if you have clean energy adoption over the next 7 years, if you just keep going how it is, and if you just don't take any action. And you can see technology adoption and some other various factors here, which tell you exactly how much it's going to be over the next 7 years. And we also have the economy related features as well. So now let's dive deeper into our AI features. So as you can see, the Enviro AI impact analysis is currently loading. It's going to take around like 10 to 15 seconds, but yeah, it loads pretty early right now. So you can see that the impact analysis loaded, and it basically describes every single pollutant in words that everyday people can understand, because obviously not everyone in the world knows how to read complex graphs. So it puts this into actionable guidelines in words for you to actually follow and understand what's happening. And you can see some practical recommendations for the general public as well. But you can also see Climate Predict AI here, which is in beta right now, but it's one of our new incoming features, and it's basically going to take another 10 seconds to load. But what it does is it actually gives you predictions on every single factor of life that people would really care about. So it's taking a second to load here. But yeah, as you can see, it gives you a risk score right here. It tells you what type of day it is. Like for Houston right now, it's a low impact day. It tells you the worst hours and the best hours here. And for example, if you want to see like traffic and commute and how it's been impacted by pollution overall, you can get an hour by hour breakdown and see how much it's going to be. For example, at the hour 1900 military time, you can see congestion easing and air quality stable. And you can also see a variety of different things that people actually care about, like travel, health impacts, energy, utilities, and outdoor activities. And this is essentially everything that people want to and actually do care about for our EnviroNex. So we have our health data right here too, dashboard, which basically shows you exactly everything personalized to you, as you could actually fill out a quiz right here. You can set up your profile, and it asks you a couple of questions about yourself. And obviously, if you fill this out, it gives you a bunch of day-by-day breakdown of how it will actually impact your health personally, because everyone's condition is obviously different. Now, we also have another feature, which I'm going to share right now, which is our actual API. Second. Kevin, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, and I can go into it. So,
Yeah.
of course, EnviroNex provides the essential consumer tools and public health systems that everyday people need. But in addition to that, the true innovation of this happens when developers and researchers can build upon the infrastructure and algorithms that we're providing. And this is where this EnviroCast API becomes critical. So the EnviroCast API provides developers with direct access to the quantum enhanced forecasting pipelines that we've created. And if we look, we have a very detailed documentation with a lot of different features to help you understand and get a grasp of not only how to use our algorithms, how to use the API, but what makes them work and what makes every little thing tick. So we have three main endpoints, and through these, they can retrieve different multi-pollutant forecasting. There's health risk indicators, climate pattern projections, environmental alerts, and there's also more metadata about confidence metrics, recalibration analytics. So what all these features put together, it enables seamless integration into, for example, smart city dashboards, healthcare platforms, software for researchers, and Internet of Things ecosystems. The API is just designed with production grade latency optimization, has workload routing and fallback model orchestration to maintain its reliability even under even global demand, to make sure that it's always and forever accessible.
Yeah, so our infrastructure is actually built for accessibility and global interpolability. So we believe that environmental intelligence should not be restricted by geography or technological barriers. Through open developer integration, EnviroCast actually enables startups, governments, researchers, and organizations worldwide to actually build environmental awareness tools, not just using predictive infrastructure, but actually using our live quantum models. So what our models allow anybody to do is they allow people to actually around the world build whatever they want to build and actually allow them to furthermore integrate it into their own apps, like for example health apps or maybe even fitness apps. But it actually democratizes our algorithm right here. So we also have a mobile app that we're building right now. So this is because accessibility extends beyond actual developers and institutions. People actually need a way to use this, and most people are on their phones most of the time, which is why we are also currently developing a mobile infrastructure that is currently being published and reviewed by the Google Play Store. So right now, safety is the foundation of everything that we build here at EnviroCast. Environmental hazards are among the most underestimated public risks worldwide. By combining predictive environmental intelligence from our various models right here, you can see predictive and personalized risk modeling. So EnviroCast helps individuals worldwide make safer daily decisions, from outdoor exercise timings to travel planning and even health risk avoidance. We design systems that detect pollution anomalies early, monitor environmental instability continuously, and deliver alerts before exposure reaches dangerous levels. Our technology shifts environmental protection from reactive to actually penetrating the very core of the issue. So, Kevin, if you want to talk about our
Yes.
extended safety.
So continuing off of that, right here, continuing off of safety, safety also extends to community and infrastructural protection. So city planners can anticipate pollution surges and regulate traffic and emissions accordingly. Healthcare providers, as I mentioned before, they can look at exposure trends. And in addition to that, emergency response agencies, they can identify environmental hazards at the correct time before they really escalate into more public crises. And then entirely all of this combines together to make a protective layer for entire societies through environmental intelligence. So to summarize and put that all together, at EnviroCast, our mission is to transform environmental uncertainty into clarity. We believe that data should empower people, not overwhelm them. And we believe that scientific innovation should translate into real world safety. And above all, we believe that the technology of the future should serve humanity's long term health and sustainability.
Yeah, so all in all, innovation is not just about building advanced systems. It's about building systems that change lives, protect communities, and defend the planet we all depend on. The future of environmental protection cannot stop in monitoring pollution after the damage is done. The real future lies in prediction, in understanding invisible risks before they escalate, and in empowering people to take action before harm ever actually reaches them. EnviroCast is more than a platform. It is a step towards a world where environmental intelligence is not a privilege, but a universal safeguard, accessible, proactive, and built to protect every single community, no matter where you are in the world. The challenges ahead are massive, but so is our responsibility and our ability to actually solve them and tackle them head on. Thank you, and keep innovating, keep building, and keep dreaming.
So now we're going to delve into some Q&A. Of course, there might be a few questions that you might want to get a better understanding, or if you just want to see our thinking process. So I see a few questions in the chat, but anyone feel free to put some more in. I'm going to look at the first question. What originally inspired us to build EnviroCast? I can give a short answer. Our inspiration began actually right here in our home city of Houston. Unfortunately, Houston is one of the worst and the most notable areas in the United States when it comes to environmental struggles. So in the Houston metropolitan area, we have an F grade in terms of air quality, and we're also ranked as, I believe, the seventh worst nation in the region for air pollution, specifically ground level ozone pollution, which is one of the most dangerous and actually underestimated atmospheric threats. So we grew up in the city surrounded by that reality, and it really made the problem impossible to ignore for us. So, in addition to that, what really struck us was how invisible the issue felt. People, like, they walk outside, go to commutes, exercise, they'll send their children to school and go about their daily life without truly knowing what they are breathing. And the systems that exist today often only tell us what happened after exposure has already occurred. And that really means that communities are forced into a reactive cycle. They only respond after the damage is done rather than preventing harm before it happens. And that's where EnviroCast really came into play, because environmental safety shouldn't be delayed, inaccessible, or uncertain. We should be able to predict into the future. So Houston was a starting point for this, but our mission is truly global, to transform this environmental uncertainty into intelligence, and intelligence into predictive protection.
Yeah, so I think I see another question from Avier, fellow speaker. So, Avier is asking, what does success look like for EnviroCast 5 years from now? So, I'd like to answer that. So, success for EnviroCast 5 years from now means that people across the world can actually realize what they're breathing and they actually have an understanding of exactly the pollutants and the risks that are out there. Success for EnviroCast would be using our technology to actually have predictive forecasting, not just hours or days into the future, but years into the future, where people and legislations can get actual actionable insight into what's going on with the pollution right now. Because as we know right now, the WHO classifies that 99% of people across the world are living in dangerous air condition and air quality, which is obviously a very big problem. These pollutants can get into your lung, they can get under your skin, and they can lead to major problems like cardiovascular and respiratory illnesses. However, we need to actually solve this by understanding that these problems are solved by actually knowing what's going to come next. If we know exactly what's going to come next, then we're going to have more actionable insight and a better way to actually solve it. And that is why we believe the success for EnviroCast 5 years from now will be integrating our technology into these types of streamlined paths.
For sure. I see another question from Ethan. Why are classical models not enough for environmental prediction? Great question. This was really like the foundation of our processes. To start by saying something, we all know the environment is a continually changing landscape. Environmental systems are just among the most complex prediction challenges in terms of science, because there's just so many complex variables, there's so much data to be processed, pre-processed, and evaluated. And there's also just an inherent randomness to the situation because of the human factor. So when we apply predetermined classical models that are more linear and predetermined, they tend to be rendered obsolete in about 1 or 2 weeks because of these specific environmental changes. For example, if we talk about pollution dynamics, they have a lot of chaotic atmospheric interactions, there's many nonlinear correlations, and high dimensional uncertainty the classical models simply struggle to fully capture. So in that way, traditional methods can only provide baseline information and forecast, but they often fail under volatility. For example, natural disasters, sudden industrial spikes, or multivariable coupling between heat, wind, and pollutants that continually affect each other. Now, with quantum processing and the multi-agent orchestration self-recalibration systems that we've developed, we're able to adapt our model to fit the situation consistently. And this is all without continual retraining and reconstruction that classical models have to go through. Of course, even then, we found that pure quantum systems can still struggle under noise, while, of course, pure classical systems struggle under data. So we decided to combine both of their strengths, to neutralize both of their weaknesses, and that's where we created the final product of the hybrid quantum classical architectures that have the power of quantum and the stability of classical for the most efficient, what we call a quantum recurrent neural network. So basically, to summarize, it's the overall inherent nature of the environment that makes classical models not enough for this, specifically due to variables and randomness. But that's where quantum computing and agentic AI really can find its place. I think you're muted, Arnav.
Yeah, so I think we have a question from Stephen Navarro here that's asking, when you talk about environmental intelligence, what does it actually mean beyond just air quality? So I think, Stephen, to answer your question, air quality monitoring, I think, is like checking the weather app and seeing it says it's raining. Environmental intelligence is like someone handing you an umbrella, rerouting your drive, texting your doctor, and even warning your soccer practice that the field is about to become a swimming pool. You can see the clear disparity between those two scenarios. Traditional monitoring is basically environmental spell check. It catches mistakes in the air, AQI, PM 2.5 levels, ozone levels even, but it doesn't tell you the full story. Environmental intelligence and what we do is like environmental autocomplete. It predicts what comes next, fills in the blanks, and helps you finish the sentence before nature finishes it for you. So at EnviroCast, environmental intelligence means turning raw pollution data into full decision-making pipeline. So first we read the air, that's the sensing layer. Then we decide how to decode the pollutants interact, because pollution doesn't travel solo. It forms what we jokingly call a smog squad, where chemicals team up and make each other even worse than they are. So then we forecast how those interactions evolve over time, where pollution moves and how it intensifies and where it dissipates. After that, we translate those forecasts into health risk modeling, because bad air isn't just bad air. It's missed school days, increased asthma attacks, strained hospitals, and disrupted economies all across the world. And this increasingly interferes with the livelihood and the liveliness of people all across the world as well. So finally, we convert all of that into real world guidelines through platforms like Climate Predict AI. So people don't just know that there is a problem, they know how to actually respond to that problem. Just think about a wildfire plume, for example. Traditional monitoring tells you smoke is here. Our environmental intelligence asks, where is the smoke going next? Which neighborhood gets hit first? Which populations are the most vulnerable? How will it affect flights, supply chains, and emergencies, and outdoor workers, etc.? And what interventions will actually reduce the damage before it happens? So our environmental intelligence system is actually proactive, and it takes the initiative to actually solve the problems rather than just stating that there is a problem. Because at the end of the day, knowing that the air is bad is just information. Knowing why it's bad, where it's going, who will affect, and what decisions can actually reduce harm, that's what environmental intelligence actually is. And frankly, in a world where the environment is changing faster than ever, reacting is expensive, but predicting is powerful. Thank you.
For sure. And then I see another question from Maltier. I mentioned self-recalibrating multi-agent forecasting systems earlier, and he's asking, what does it really mean in practice? So in practice, what this means, obviously, to break it down, first of all, multi-agent systems just mean we're integrating agentic AI, obviously different agents to work together, converse with each other, and really discuss and come to the best conclusions. Forecasting is obviously integrating that environmental intelligence, and self-recalibrating is the key part, because it allows us to combat the whole data drift and environmental changes that the environment provides. So what it does is it continually continually adapts to the situation. Of course, atmospheric conditions, they change constantly, and predictive systems have to respond in real time. So, as I mentioned earlier, these specialized agents that we have, for example, there's like the anomaly agent, which identifies when there's huge differences. We have agents for uncertainty evaluation, for causal reasoning, pattern recognition from historical data, scenario planning, and even what's most important is the critic agent, which continually finds problems in other reasoning to make sure that everything is top notch. Now, together, these agents can work together to monitor those changes and detect any instability and instantly trigger that recalibration. And of course, the system is all automated, so it allows for continual insurance that the platform is resilient. Instead of requiring constant manual retraining, EnviroCast becomes self-correcting, adaptive, and reliable, even as the real world continually changes.
Yeah, so I think we have a question from Avier again. So he's asking, how do you prevent environmental forecasting from just becoming another data overload for users? So Avier, I think data is only powerful if it's digestible. Otherwise, it's just digital noise dressed up as intelligence. We prevent overload by turning environmental forecasting from a data fire hose into a decision compass. So instead of flooding users with numbers and like statistics and data, we actually translate those data statistics into clarity. People don't need to know every chemical in the air. They need to know whether the air is friend or foe. We also follow a simple rule. If information doesn't change a decision, it doesn't deserve attention. Our systems filter, prioritize, and personalize insights so users actually receive signals, not statics. Because wisdom at the end of the day isn't just about knowing everything, it's about knowing what actually matters to the user. And environmental intelligence should inform choices and not just bury them. And that is why we need to do our best to make sure that people actually know exactly what it is and how it is affecting them, not just know that there's, like, for example, a 85% chance that this is going to happen. That is why we are not just a data overload.
Okay, and now let's go into another question from Steven. How does EnviroNex simulate environmental scenarios differently from existing tools? Um, Great question. So to describe how Nex is different is because it's more than just a static dashboard with just regular information. It's a simulation of the environmental intelligence. So most platforms show maybe historical pollution trends or real-time snapshots, but Nex is designed to show and model how atmospheric conditions evolve dynamically across geography and across time, even predicting, as we said, up to 7, 8 years in the future. By combining multi-pollutant forecasting, hybrid quantum classical, and artificial intelligence deep learning models, as well as with the agentic continuous recalibration, EnviroNex allows users to explore scenarios even before they happen. Researchers can simulate pollutant transport, urban planners and policymakers can test, for example, infrastructure interventions, and communities can anticipate exposure risks rather than simply observe and be affected by them. So, in other words, Next is not just showing the atmosphere and showing the data, but it's forecasting its trajectory, how it moves over time, and the consequences of that. It really just shows the shift from visualization to simulation, and of course, then to forecasting to show what really makes it fundamentally new, unique, and obviously more powerful.
Yeah.
That is the last of the questions that I see, but if anyone does have any more questions, we would be glad to answer. Are there any more questions that anyone has? Okay, then. I think we can go to the next segment, but thank you so much for everyone who asked questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this demo. We're happy to have shown this to you. We hope you at least get a better understanding of where we're coming from in EnviroCast and where that really is taking us next with EnviroCast Geo. Thank you so much for listening to our demo.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to reach out, Kavina is gonna post all our socials in the chat. So just feel free to reach out, and we'll also, like, give us some of our website links if you're actually more interested about this as well.
Okay, so everyone just take probably around 2 to 3 minutes just to, I guess, prepare. We're going to have our keystone speech in a second. I just want to quickly be able to provide our links and socials for our contacts. Just in 2 to 3 minutes, we will resume. Okay, I have just provided quite a lot of links in the chat. So first, I provided both me and Arnaud's LinkedIn, then our EnviroCast Gmail as well as ours, and finally the EnviroCast website as well as Nex and the API. Hopefully, those are useful. We'd be glad to reach out and even collaborate if we need to. I think there's a lot of room for connection and improvement with this type of technology. So it's really great that we'll be able to connect. So coming up on 120, we can now go into our, okay. I do see one last question. We can quickly answer this. Arnold, do you want to take it? You're muted still. Okay.
Yeah, so I think Nathan
Yeah.
Matthews asking, how are you guys making sure that data that the EnviroCast data produced isn't overwhelming to the users? And so Nathan, I think that the way that our data isn't overwhelming is because we're actually using this data and turning it into actionable insights. Like when you see a regular prediction app, you're just going to see a bunch of numbers. You're going to see like the hour, and then you're going to see like the data value that it's going to be at that specific hour. And obviously this is important, but this isn't actually useful for everyday users like you and I. So in order to actually challenge this issue of just what we call a data bog, we decided to actually add in features like impact analysis and climate predict AI. So what these features do is actually uses our AI tools to make this data and turn it into a summary which tells the users exactly what effects this data is going to have on their health and the health of the community around them, plus more factors that they actually care about. And what this does is it actually puts it into English words. It's not just numbers on a screen. It turns it into insight that people can actually act on. And it tells them exactly when they should act on it, how they should act on it. And this makes sure that isn't actually like overwhelming users with just plain numbers. But thank you. Great question.
There is always an opportunity to contribute to the discussions that we have at EnviroCast Geo. If you are interested in attending or even speaking at a future conference, learn more at geo.envirocast.org. We're excited to hear your insights.